You've got a son, a wee boy, a wee 3-year-old, and he loves playing with his football in the back garden. He loves throwing it more than he loves kicking it. He loves throwing it high in the air, as high as it can go, and watching it come back down. And sometimes he throws it so high it goes right over the fence, right into the neighbour's garden. You can't ask them to throw it back because they're never really out in their garden, and the fence is too high for you to quickly vault over and nab it. But it's all right. The following morning, it's back in your garden. They chucked it back. Your son starts throwing the ball about as high as he can throw it, and oops, over it goes again. But the next morning, it's back. And then later in the day, you guessed it, over it goes once more. But it's all right. You won't be back the next morning. It always is. You get up, have breakfast, and your son asks you out in the garden to play with his ball. You open the door and out the two of you go. He asks where his ball is. You look around and, well, no ball. Where's his ball? Is it still in the neighbour's garden? You better go and have a peek. You have a wee look through the gaps in your neighbour's fence to see if you can spot the ball. You look at the garden. No, you can't see it. You look to the right towards their house. You look to the left towards the back gate. But no, it's not there. Here, they've not just stuck it in the bin, have they? You almost couldn't blame them with the amount of times that ball's landed over there. But they wouldn't just stick it in the bin, would they? They fucking better not have. You know what you should do? You should go next door and ask them. Don't ask them if they put it in the bin, nothing confrontational like that. Just ask them what they've done with it. See what they say. So you nip next door and give their bell a ring. You don't like doing stuff like this, but, you know, it's your son's ball. Your neighbour opens the door. It's the guy. He doesn't say hello. He waits for you to speak first. He's not a friendly sort. You ask him if he's seen your son's ball at all, knowing that he has. He tells you they chucked it back last night as usual. You tell him that you can't see it, but he assures you they chucked it back last night like they do every night. He's hitting you with an attitude, basically. So you point out that isn't true about him throwing it back every night, because your son doesn't throw over every day, just some days. Your neighbour shrugs it off and says that they throw it back whenever. They don't know how often, they've lost count, but they threw it back last night. You're ready to reply to that lost count bit, but he tells you he has to go now, their dinner's in the oven and they don't want to get burnt. Then he shuts the door without saying goodbye. What a fucking attitude, eh? You go back to your garden and you have another glance about. No ball. No way they chucked it back. Tell you what they did. They got sick of it landing in their garden, so they binned it. You held the attitude on him when you went over. That thing about how they chucked it back as usual, and having to chuck it back every night when they don't. Total exaggeration. And when he said that they've lost count, fuck off. Trying to make you out to be a pain in the arse. No, trying to make your son out to be a pain in the arse. Your son looks around the garden and asks you where the ball is. You tell him that your neighbour's chucked it back over, but you don't know where it is. But that's bullshit, isn't it? They didn't chuck it back. They bullshitted you. And now they've got you bullshitting your son. They're probably listening at their window. Probably having a right wee chuckle. So you correct yourself and tell your son the truth, that you think that lot next door put his ball in the bin. Your son asks why would they do that. You tell him that your next door neighbours are naughty. Naughty! And you say naughty quite loud, so that if the nosy bastards really are listening at their window, well, they can get an earful of that. A few days later, you're sunbathing in your back garden, where your son plays about with a clothes peg. It should be a ball he's playing with, but he doesn't have one anymore, so he has to make do with a clothes peg. Does that not make you fucking sick? It should. Not just because he doesn't have a ball, but because now you can hear your next door neighbours playing in their garden, playing with a ball. A ball! What's the bet it's the same ball, eh? What's the bet it's the same fucking ball? You turn your head slightly to look through the gaps in the fence. Is it the same ball? Would they fucking dare? You can't quite see. Then you spot it as it flies high in the air for a moment, high above the fence. It's a football, but it's an actual football. Whereas your son's football was more of a beach ball, to be fair. That doesn't make everything all right. The fact remains that it's a ball. They're out playing with a ball while your son does without. Even if they didn't bin his ball, which they fucking did, it's the insensitivity of it. You've never seen him out with a ball before, not for a long time anyway. They're rarely out in their garden for anything. They were never there to chuck your son's ball back whenever it went over. And now they spring to fucking life with a ball when your son's ball goes missing. They fucking rub it in, that's what they're doing. They're fucking rubbing it in. The ball lands in your garden. There's a wee silence. Your son looks at the ball, then looks at you. You can hear the wee lassie from next door tell her mum what's happened. Then there's mumbling between the mum and the dad, maybe deciding on what to do. It must be a tricky one for them. After all, what do you do when your ball goes into the neighbour's garden a few days after you decided to bin theirs for landing in yours? It certainly is a dilemma. Do they seriously have the fucking cheek to ask for it back? Do they? The answer's aye. Aye, they do. The guy shouts over, sounding a lot more friendly than he was when you chapped on his door, now that he wants something. He asks you if you mind throwing back his daughter's ball. Fuck that, man. Pretend you're sleeping. You shut your eyes, but you keep them open just enough to see what's going on. You can see the guy walking up to the fence. He asks again a wee bit louder. You can hear his daughter ask why you're not throwing it back. It makes you feel a bit bad, but stay strong. Remember, it was him that started this, not you. You can see him looking at you before mumbling something to his daughter to say that you're sleeping. Fuck off, mate. Who does he think he is, staring into your garden, telling his family what he sees? You should get up and tell him that's an invasion of privacy, but don't. Stay strong. You're supposed to be out for the count. Just give it a few more seconds, he'll go away. You're doing well. But now your son joins in. He thinks it's a funny game. He's only 3 after all. He comes over to you shouting, wake up, the ball, give them the ball. The poor wee guy wants you to wake up and throw the neighbour's ball back to them, even though he knows they're the same neighbours that put his own wee ball in the bin. It breaks your fucking heart. He starts shouting louder, to the point that it's going to be hard to keep up the pretence of sleeping for much longer. Fortunately, he stops, but unfortunately it's because he wants to pick up the ball and try throwing it over the fence himself. He can't do it, it's too heavy. This is an actual real football we're talking. The guy next door puts his hands over the fence to help. His hands? Over your fence? And into your fucking territory? Fuck right off. That's trespass. If this was America, you'd be entitled to shoot him. Shoot his fucking hands off anyway. But over here, you can't. It just isn't right. None of this is. Your son trying to throw a ball back to the guy who put his ball in the bin. It's just fucking wrong. Worst of all is that your son can't do it. And you're glad that he can't. This guy next door's got you pleased that your son isn't good enough while he spurs your son on and gives him encouragement. It's like he's turned your son against you and you against him. This guy's like the fucking devil, isn't he? Then things go from bad to worse. Your son realises he needs to get a bit higher to throw the ball over. So he climbs up in the wee wall you've got running along the side of the garden. Not a very high wall, it only comes up to your knee, but he could hurt himself, and he does. His foot slips away as he tries to lift himself up and his knee bangs against the edge. He starts to cry. He's not screaming, more like whimpering to himself and looking over to you to make it right. This is his fault, man, that guy putting his hands over the fence, encouraging your son. It makes your fucking blood boil. You want to get up, but you can't. You're in too deep. I wonder how you can hear him crying all quietly at the other end of the garden, yet you couldn't hear him shouting in your ear. They'll know you were pretending to be asleep and you look childish. And now they're asking your son if he's all right. Mum, Dad and daughter, all up at the fence, tending to your son with kind words, the people who stole his ball, making sure he feels loved and cared for, while you do nothing, pretending to be asleep. Look what they've reduced you to. Just look at it. You're going to make these people pay. You have to. But for now, just lie there and wait. So you lie and wait, pretending to be dead to the world, until they go back inside. Around 2 hours it takes. 2 fucking hours. You stand up. Your son tells you about his grazed knee and the ball in your garden. You ask about the grazed knee, but pretend not to hear the bit about the ball in case they're up there listening. Go inside, make him some dinner, then put him to bed. You read him a book, but you don't put on your usual funny voices, you're not in the mood. Then you leave, and you wait until nightfall. You wait until it's dark enough to go into your back garden without being seen by prying eyes, when you can get your hands on that ball, their ball. And you won't be chucking it back over the fence. Don't think that for a second. Nope, that ball is fucking getting it. Go, now, pick up something sharp and go. You pick up a pair of scissors lying in the kitchen worktop, and you open the back door, and you walk up to the ball in your garden, their fucking ball, their stupid ball, and you stab it. You stab it 3, 4, 5 times, more, 6, 7, 8 times. Again, 9 times, until there's nothing left to stab, until you're poking at ribbons. Fucking hell, that felt good, didn't it? Hold on, did you hear something there? Did you hear somebody in the neighbour's garden? No, I don't think so. You take the ball, or what's left of it, and walk back towards the back gate. You're going to stick this fucking thing in the bin. You open the gate, find your bin, and open the lid. But stop! Don't put it in your bin. Put it in their bin. When they look through the garden fence tomorrow and see their balls away, the first place they'll look is in your bin. That's the way their minds work. Takes one to know one and all that. So put the ball in theirs. Lift some of their bags up, stick it down deep, and put the bags back on top. If they want their ball back, there it fucking is, mate. There it fucking is. You turn around to find their bin, and there's your neighbour. He saw the lot. I think he saw the lot. I told you I heard something. He asks you what the bloody hell you think you're doing. You try denying it, despite having a pair of scissors and a shredded ball in your hands. But I say it's too late to go on the back foot. Go on the defensive, that's what I say. So you tell him he fucking started by putting your son's ball in the bin. Too fucking right he did. Then it's your neighbour's turn to start denying it, saying he chucked the ball back over, he told you. Oh, he told you? Know what to tell him? Tell him to fucking shut up. You tell him, then he says he's going to phone the police and show them what you did to his daughter's ball. Aye, but first he'll need to get the ball, won't he? But you're not going to let that happen, are you? You're going to try to disappear back into your garden with the evidence, but your neighbour follows you in and grabs at the ball. You push him away because he shouldn't be in your garden. That's private property. That's trespass. Remember what you're allowed to do in America? You stab him. Not much, just a wee bit to get him to fuck off. No more than a scratch on his waist. But it's enough to make him think his life's in danger. And now he has to make a decision. Fight or flight. Fight or flight. It's fight. He goes for you, and what happens next is a mess. A bit of a mess. Hard to know who did what, it happened so quickly. Then it somehow came to an end. And now you're lying out of breath in your garden with a gash on your cheek. As for your neighbour, you can see him through the gaps in the fence, crawling through his back garden to the safety of his house. Crawling like he's doing a side stroke with a pair of scissors in his chest. It's not looking good. You turn away and wonder. You wonder how this happened. You wonder how many years you'll get. And as you turn, you can see behind your garden shed. The space between the shed and the fence. Just a wee space. You didn't bother looking before. You didn't think anything would fit there. But there it is. Your son's ball. Oh dear. Oh dear, look what you've done. However did it come to this? And now you're looking at me. And I can see by the way you're looking at me that you think I should have known. I should have known that the ball was there. Well, I didn't know. And I admit I thought I saw something when you first looking, but I wasn't sure, so I didn't bother saying. Anyway, that doesn't matter. The bottom line is that you did this, right? I might have pushed you a bit, but it was you that did it. If I asked you to jump in the Clyde, would you do it? Right. I can see you're still looking at me that way. I'm sorry to see that. Sorry that you feel I was to blame, but I better go now. It's my dinner. My dinner's in the oven, and I don't want to get burnt.